What's going on YouTube? Ani-mity back at it again with another video, and today I want to make a little video which, for lack of a better term, is basically just going to be gushing about one of my best friends, like, ever. And the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I had a incident happen online not that long ago, which it had a heavier impact than I thought it was going to when it came to like I guess my response to it and a lot of other different stuff, and it kind of made me reevaluate and reanalyze, recontextualize a lot of different stuff when it comes to I guess the way I view, again, for lack of a better term, relationships. And that doesn't have to necessarily mean like having a relationship in the sense of like loving it's one of these things that like it's so hard to talk about now because I feel like anytime I mention this to anyone else and I talk about like things like when I say the buzzwords of relationship, intimacy, and all this other stuff, people take it to such an extreme perspective and understandable to a degree, but I guess like it's one of those things that kind of makes you realize the way in which I value certain things and the way that I grew up in these values that I've grown to have very like sacred to me are different from a lot of the other people. That's one of the things I never really like considered when it comes to my approach and my way of talking to people. And one of the ones that kind of made me realize this more than anyone else is my best friend Alia. Um, and I'm gonna go into that in a bit, but like it's something that we talk about a little bit in the Amazing Digital Circus video that I have still that I need to edit at some point. But in that video, I talk a lot about just again, for lack of a better term, it's just me and Ollie talking about like the nature of relationships and the way that people view kind of having that with someone and how I've gone a lot of my life not really feeling like I fit in, feeling like I was always this outcast. I was always this one kind of looking on from the outside. I tried changing myself at one point and just found myself more miserable, even with friends. So then I shifted to like, let me focus on the things that do make me happy, being myself and being comfortable in my own skin, even if that does mean being alone, which was something that I kind of came to terms with for a while. And every now and then I found a lot of people that I was able to make these connections with. Um, but then eventually, I guess just we all kind of grew in these ways, and like I guess like I overestimated how much I'd grown in that moment, and then forgot to consider this whole like when I made some of these friends, I was only at this like really beginning part of my life, and I forgot to consider the whole part of my life that would come afterward. And I was still developing in a lot of different ways. And I'd still like to say that I'm developing in a lot of different ways. Um, and there was something about when I met my friends in Ithaca that felt different from the way that I made a lot of other friends. There's something that my dad and my mom and a lot of other people told me when it came to coming to when it came time for me to go to college, and they told me about how like this is going to be like the big moment of your life where you make these like amazing friends. You're going to meet like the best friends you're ever going to have for the rest of your life. And like I have friends that I've made before college that are very, very good friends of mine. And, like I'm not, I don't want to make this video to say to like undersell the value of the friends that I made beforehand, but there was something about making friends with Alia and Isaiah and Adam and all these other people that I got to meet when I was in college that did feel different in a way that I couldn't really express in the moment. And I'm realizing it does come down to this term of, I guess, intimacy. And again, intimacy does not have to mean like for lack of a better term, it doesn't have to mean sex, which is what I feel like most people think of when they think of intimacy. But like there's something about just being open with someone and having this connection to someone where you feel like I'm comfortable completely letting my guard down and just being myself and being this most like unfiltered, most genuine version of myself that I don't feel like I get to be most of the time that I'm walking around. Like I feel like even like the when I'm walking around most times, you kind of have to keep a lot of the other stuff you do inside because you want to try to give people this good impression first before you do it. Or so that's the mentality that I've always had is like, people might not like right away what my brand is, but give people the time to slowly be integrated into it and they can grow to appreciate that and like what there is in store for that. That was always the mindset that I at some point grew up with, and I don't even know from where. Like I don't know if this is like what my parents ingrained in me, if this is what like I'm willing to bet it probably is more of like a school value thing. Like this is just a mentality that was like stockhelmed into developing from where I was in my schools. And it took me a while to really like find this point where I was okay just existing and being myself, which sounds so like morbid and that kind of thing, but it's true. I mean, like it doesn't feel like I ever really found my it didn't really feel like I found inherently my people till a lot later in my life. Like there's some people like my friend Knight, who I haven't done a video with at all, just because I've been really, really busy and haven't had time to really sit down and have a video with him. Uh, but like, there's some people where it's like we do have these very deep connections with each other, but then I never really felt. I guess like as I grew up and as I changed and as a lot of different stuff happened throughout my life, which is something that I guess I never really noticed that I was changing in. Not that that connection ever went away, but I guess just the way it felt with Ollie and everyone else, where it felt kind of like I don't know, a lot of friends I've had before because of the fact that we've more or less fallen out of touch for a lot of us. It feels like we've all kind of grown in our own ways, and for some of us, that doesn't really matter. We're still like we still see the same people. Like I mean, there's a buddy of mine. His name's Jace, and like he's grown up in a whole lot of different ways, and I'm so proud of how much he's grown. But no matter what, he's always going to be Jace. He's always going to be the guy that I remember from back when I was in elementary school, and we're totally chill with that. Like, and he sees the same in me. I'm still the same guy I was back then. It's just a lot of extra stuff that it's a lot of extra layers that we put on afterward, but we still see the same people inside of us. Um, and it's kind of weird, like I guess like there's a lot of times with friends where I feel like I question that security because of how long it's been since we've all talked to each other, versus with like Alia, Isaiah, and Adam. I don't know if it's necessarily because like I feel like I've reached the plateau of my growth and development or that kind of thing, or like this weird feeling inside of like this is darn near the most stable I'm going to be as far as who I am, or something like that. But it's like there's something inside me that feels like with this particular group of friends, I'm going to grow and change still, but there's a security and a confidence in me that we're not going to really see differently in each other, that we're always still going to have this like love and support for each other like family. And that's the main thing. Like I love my friends like family. They're like I grew up an only child. They are the brothers and sisters that I never really knew I was missing in my life, or that I never really knew that I like it's this whole part of my life that I never knew I really needed in it. And having them in my life is kind of like I can't imagine a moment that I had without them now. And just I love them to pieces so much for that. And I'm so grateful and glad that I get to be a part of their stories and I get to be a part of this whole journey with them now. And I just say that because of how I guess like not that I like undervalue their relationship because being friends with them means the absolute world to me, but I guess what I underestimated was just how rare having a friendship like that is now. Like when I was a lot younger, it felt like it was so easy to just kind of go up to people and make these friends. And like as I got older and as I kind of grew to realize who I am, yeah, it is hard to make those friends because it's hard to find people who have that exact like niche that you're in and make that connection with people. But it's just there's something there about like this the way in which we all talk to each other. And I'm not gonna go into like necessarily the things that we do talk about with each other, but just like there's such a warmth and a love that we all have to each other where it's like we feel like family. And I try and give that love to any people that I try to make connections with, especially because they just I've struggled with this idea that am going to be alone for the things that I enjoy. That like this quirky guy who only knows how to talk in anime references and all this other stuff that maybe not everyone likes to do or does do often, at least from the connections that I've gotten to make. That people like that, how do I explain this? Really, like it's one of the just like the I came to terms for a long time with being used to being alone with that, and then when I made the friends that I did, I wanted to cling to that like so tightly. And I wanted to share that love with so many of the people because of the fact that I know that people like that are so rare. What I forgot to consider was just, I guess, how much I was asking from people with that, if that makes sense. It's the like, there's so many things about this and so many intricacies of human emotion that I don't necessarily know how well it gets across. But like having that connection with someone and not having it be like the like oh you're the love of my like all the like the fairy tale love of your life thing, which I do think does exist out there in some way, but like something akin to that for a friend and having this like deep consideration and care for someone in that way is something just I feel like it's lost nowadays. And it's sad, it's fascinating, it's a lot of different things when it shows me like this nature of humanity. And it's like I made a friend online and we talked about a lot of stuff, never like exposure stuff. Don't worry, guys, it's not one of those kind of stories. It's not a catfish story with this, but it's like, you know, we chatted, we played games for a while, and then at one point, they just went away to do life, and that happens. We all have life that we go to. And I remember just I wrote this like really long message at one point, just saying like, hey, like I'm not looking for anything from this, and I hope that I'm not like spamming or that kind of thing. But just I just want you to know I'm thinking about you, and that I haven't forgotten. I haven't just faded into this void that the internet often feels like, which is the way that I feel most of the time. And whatever's going on the other side, I don't need to know. But I just hope you got this. I believe in you that you do got this. And it wasn't something that I guess I didn't consider in writing that how intimate that comes across and how someone else can see that as kind of being like flirty or that kind of thing. Like to me, I would say that to anyone if I had even like the remotest bit of care for them because it's just I want to express this knowledge that hey, I'm here if you want to chat. And even if we don't chat to each other, just know that I believe in whatever you're putting your mind to doing, I believe in it. And I hope that it goes well. But it's just kind of weird how that feeling gets rejected sometimes because of the fact that it comes across like too passionate or too strong in some ways which I never really was able to understand. Like just emotions are a very, very like they're a very personal thing. They're a very important thing to me. Like the way that I feel about something, the way that I emotionally am attached to something is very important to me. It's part of why I love anime so much. Is like it's always had this connection to being this very like emotionally driven and inspired thing. And something that like speaks to me on that very deep and emotional level makes me love that product or that show so much more. And like I said, it's the thing that I appreciate so much in my group of friends with Ali and everyone else. Just the fact that we have that connection that I crave and that I love being able to have, and I'd love to be able to say that I have with them. That we're a unit, we're a family in ways that I never knew I really could be with people outside of my actual family. And again, I love them to absolute pieces for that. And some of that also just it's gotten me through a lot of ups and downs and struggles of so many different things. And I thank them so much for that. I love them to pieces for that. And this definitely is not going to be the last time I make a video of just like random sentimentality and random like gushing over how much they do for me and how much I'm so proud of how far they've come and how much they're doing. Um, and yeah, it's like it's just again being so close to the end of the program and this like mentality of it. I'm gonna do another video closer, kind of talking about my experiences with the program. Uh, it's had its ups and downs. I'll definitely say that, but above all else, it's made me appreciate so much more what I found in them, and I love them to pieces for that. So, to Alia, to Adam, to Isaiah, you guys are doing amazing. And I know whatever lies ahead of you guys next, you guys are going to continue doing amazing. And don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Because you guys are the best friends that I've ever gotten to make. And I am so grateful for what we get to do together. And I'm grateful to continue seeing what we do together and to be a part of the story with you guys. I love you guys to pieces. And I look forward to seeing what this next chapter is going to hold for all of us. Because now, again, and I'll go more in depth into this in another video, but like I've finally gotten a glimpse of that future that I always wanted to achieve in some way, and seeing it being a future with them would mean the world to me. So yeah, gonna wrap this up here. Thank you guys so much for watching this one. Another kind of like rushed, half baked video probably to come out next week. And then maybe one more after that. Then after that, we should finally be back home, and then I'll be like slightly back to a more normal schedule. And we'll see where we take things from there. Yeah, it's been rough. I know with YouTube lately. A lot of stuff's been happening on the sidelines of stuff. But thank you guys so much for sticking with me through it all. I appreciate you guys immensely as always. Um, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.